Even till now, I still use these techniques, so
So it was a good experience.
It was. And you know what? I've had great relationships from there too. Since then, I met a lot of people during those years that now in my real estate career,
You've networked.
I networked. I built up a nice little network for myself over the years.
Welcome back to another episode of The Office Podcast with your host with the most, Jay Kuza, and myself, Nicole. And today we have Miami's real estate badass, Banna.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
Your
Thank
Barbie
you.
attire is beyond.
Thank you. I had the marketing campaign for a Barbie campaign earlier today, so I just continue the look.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, you grew up in Miami
Right. Yes, I did. My whole life.
your whole life. Wow.
Whole life.
How's
Quite an experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get into real estate? Like young?
Young. This was about 12 years ago now. Right. So I was like 5 when I got started. I'm just kidding. Yes, it was in 2012 when I first got into the real estate business.
And what got you into, is that your first job?
No, I've been working since I was 14 years old. Yes, I was a cashier at Publix. I was an office manager of a small alarm company, assisting the office manager more. And then I got into the food space, waitress at Sushi Saki. Sushi Saki's second location, Doral, I helped open it up. I was one of the first waitresses there.
Oh, wow.
I don't think Jason knew that. Yeah.
I did.
You see, look, you're right. And then what else? After that, I got into marketing. I was an intern for an e-commerce company.
Hold on, let me ask you something. Because you said a cashier at Publix.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if I said that to most youth, they'd look at me and laugh.
Oh, forget about it. We know about the grinds, right?
But you-
What age?
Yeah.
I was 14. Wow. Yeah, I was 14.
How was dealing with people?
I did really well, actually. And that's when I kind of knew that I had the hustler in me, There's something called March of Dimes. And then my store, Lakes of the Meadows, shout out West Kendall. Lakes of the Meadows had this competition that whoever got the most March of Dimes got some kind of, prize. And I started, and of course, being so competitive, I would cut out the coupons of that day from that daily, newsletter that the Publix would release. So I would cut the coupons, and then as soon as I saw someone in my line that had those items, I'll give them the cashier. I'll give them the coupon. And then once they got the coupon, they would give me money for the March of Dimes because I'm helping them save money.
Claro.
So then once I started doing all of that, I saw a more March of Dimes, and I quickly grew. So that's when I kind of knew that I had the sales
you.
in me. Yeah.
So once you do the office, you help out in the office. How's that experience?
It was good. That's when I first learned how the mom and pop business really works. I remember one time they were tight on cash. One of my checks bounced. So I got to know how the whole payroll system works. I got to learn how to work with similar peers of my age group, and I got to learn and I was also working with the dad, the grandfather. So I saw the generational, right? And then it's not easy working in family businesses. So I learned that there. And then I got into the food industry, and then I started waitressing. So that was a real hustle too.
How was that?
I don't recommend it, but I think it's very good. It's a good way to get started with people. I think that's where it taught me to be dynamic. Get everyone's orders, go back, put it all together, come back. So I was very efficient. That's really where I learned how to be master hustler there, and the upselling technique too. Right. Do you want that, or do you want the entire sushi buffet, or instead of just one little sushi roll? It's 10 of you. Are you sure? Why do you save money? I
love it.
Right. Even till now, I still use these techniques. So
So it was a good experience.
It was. And you know what? I've had great relationships from there too. Since then, I met a lot of people during those years that now in my real estate career,
You've networked.
I networked. I built up a nice little network for myself over the years.
How important has your network been to what you do today?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything. But more important than the network, I think, is keeping a clean face. Because you can meet all these people, but if you're not, unethical, or you move a certain way, you're just not, genuine, real, it'll come back to you to the sense that you burn bridges. And Miami's such a small world, you need to not burn bridges. Because if you burn one bridge, you can burn 30 after that. And then you're kind of in this weird situation. So I think it's important to build your network, but maintain that network.
Reputation.
Reputation,
Character.
everything. And I mean, Miami's not part of the real world. Like, Miami's not part of America, in my opinion. It's such a small city. So you need to really be careful how you move out here.
Miami is not part of the real world.
It's not.
That's going to be like a meme.
It's not. If you
After
look at
this.
the stats, Miami has one of the highest inflation rates in the country. You know, like, it's very expensive to live here.
Oh, not only is it expensive, we're talking about just the people in general, the businesses that are here, the way people move here, for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So that guided you? Who taught you that? Like, how did you know, let me move correctly?
I always think about that. No one really taught me. I feel like you either got it in you or you don't.
It's in you, right?
So I do think it was in me.
So then what makes you be like, I'm going to get into real estate from waitress?
Okay, so then after that, I was in FIU, paying my way through college. I had like 2 jobs at one point. I was in, is it like my 3rd or 4th year in university, and some friends at the time, an ex-boyfriend's friends at the time, had put together this this real estate firm doing acquisitions. This was the end of 2012, 2013, where it was like end of the recession. So there was still a little bit of foreclosures left.
Short sales.
So distressed sellers, and I was helping with acquisitions. And then I remember in FIU, I was in this group project, and I hated my group members. They're just like mean and rude, and I just hated all of it.
Miami.
No,
right. Continue.
And I said, I hated all of this. I'm getting into real estate, and that's it. I never looked back.
Really?
Yeah, I said bye. I didn't even graduate FIU, which, looking back, it might have been nice to just finish those extra 8 months. But I was so tired of it. I got my license, and I just like full grind ahead.
So you knew it was in you?
Yeah, I did.
Were you ever scared?
Super. It was so difficult. It was so
I love you for saying
hard.
that.
No, let's keep it real. It was
Absolutely.
horrible, actually. Like those first, it took me 4 months to close a house, to sell a house. I failed the real estate exam like 4 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm not a good test taker, and like it's designed to make you fail those tests too. And then 4 months, I sell a house. Then I don't sell another one for like another 3 months. Then I do like little rentals here and there. So the first 5 years, I would say, were such a grind. Networking, the events, the cold calling, the cold emails, the getting the business cards, putting them in. It was such a grind. But it's all paid off for the most part.
What was the hardest part about those 5 years? What were you telling yourself in those 5 years?
How many times did you want to quit?
Right.
Oh my God, always.
Always?
Always.
Of course.
You didn't think about calling Sushi Saki and saying, hey, you guys need me a part-time?
No, but you know what it was too? That I got into real estate when I was 21, 20, around there. And so after that, I never had a boss again. So by the time 5 years into it, I'm 26. I'm like, am I really gonna get a boss again? Like I just didn't see myself getting another boss or anyone telling me what to do. So that's when I kind of started hitting like, there's no turning back now. Like now you have no choice but to make it, because what are you gonna do here? Like where am I gonna go work for who? It was kind of.
I love it.
Right. I was like.
So how did you turn it around?
Well, it takes 10 years for that 1 year to change your life, the whole overnight success thing. So after the 5th year, things started to get a little easier. I started off with the acquisitions in the investment firm. Then I joined another family business. More lessons there. We won't get too deep into that, but I was like, this is not for me. Then is where I really kind of saw the business shift, where I was the sales director for a real estate management agency. And my broker boss at the time, Tim Voda, it wasn't my boss per se, but he owned the company at the end of the day. And that's where I got to see the sales, the management, the leasing, the associations, full part of the business. And I was basically like overseeing the whole sales division. So that's where I could see, I'm like, you know what, I could really open up my own brokerage one day. Like I could do this here.
In real estate, is there a lot of trainings when you go to all these places?
No. No, I don't think so. Unless you go to like a Keller Williams and like a Kai's, one of those.
So you threw yourself out and said, I'm going to do this.
I'm going to do this. I did.
And then as you're there at that company and you're learning all of it, how does that work? Like what was your biggest lesson there that you feel like after that 5th year, you're like, okay, these are the few things that I've learned that I can really grind out?
I would say referrals. And I would say to not be scared of the small deals, because the small deals will lead to the bigger deals, and the bigger deals, renters become buyers, become sellers, become renters, so it's all a really nice cycle. And if you just focus on customer service, the business comes back to you.
Say that again. Look right there.
Customer service. That's it. And I really, really try to be number one in customer service, to get back to my clients immediately. You know, I rarely keep them waiting. I hate if I don't get back to them in an hour or two, you know, and if I can get back to them in seconds, even better. So I think it's very important. It puts you in a whole different bracket. You know, there's like 250,000 realtors, I think, like in South Florida or so, maybe more, maybe less. And, you know, what, like 10% do most of the business. And I think it's because they focus so much on customer service. So it's a way to differentiate yourself, you know.
What has been the hardest part?
Well, new levels, new devils, as I like to say. Yes. So
I love this.
So survival mode the last, 20 years of my life, let's say 15 years of my life. So last year before that, wow, out of survival mode, right? So then I'm quickly learning that what got me here
is not what's going to take you to the next
won't take me there. Good one, right? So, and I'm talking from everything from the CPA to the old inspectors I used to use to the old everything. I cleaned up shop. I fired assistants. I completely revamped. I went to Sotheby's, a luxury real estate brokerage, 2 years ago. So quickly growing, and it's about getting past the growing pains too. I'm seeing. So the hard part is probably budgeting and growing a business, because it's really growing a business. And since then I have 2 more businesses.
What are the other businesses?
Yeah, so I have the luxury real estate business, sales, leasing. I opened a property management company.
Love that.
Yeah. I love it, actually. It's crazy. I think all those years in management kind of fueled the fire, and back to customer service.
Right.
So I opened it up because I had clients angry at, the old property management companies they were using, and they felt it was such bad service. And, Banna, can you please help me? And I'm like, you know what? I think I could do this. So hired a VA to help me, my assistant. I hired a bookkeeper to kind of help me run the numbers. And we're growing. We have 20 properties right now.
That's amazing.
I know, little by little.
So contact Banna for your property management, because she's on customer service. I think that's huge.
I mean, call me for everything. Just kidding. But especially for real estate and marketing. Okay, so then it leads me to my third favorite business is the marketing agency. So a couple years ago, I met the owner of the Miami Guide on Instagram. And we met because I was his 100th guest on his podcast. And he had interviewed me because at the time I had a ton of listings in South of 5th and Miami Beach. And so we were talking about real estate. And then I told him I had these ideas to do workshops, and he did too. Next thing you know, we just joined forces. I became half owner of the Miami Guide on Instagram.
That's amazing.
We created a whole marketing agency, and now it's on fire. It's a complete media platform, full service digital marketing agency.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you've been able to build different businesses off what you're doing.
Yeah.
What made you do that? What made you say, let me spearhead?
I don't know. You're right about that. I don't really know. When you have a little bit of help with that marketing partner, with him as a partner, you're able to kind of grow a little bit.
Teamwork.
There's only so much you could do. There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so much you could do. So I think delegating and scaling, you don't have to do everything. So I think that's what's really helped. And it all kind of circles back, because a lot of the real estate clients, we help with the marketing. And then the marketing events I go to, I help them sell a property or buy a property. So it all kind of works.
How much do you network? Because I see you.
It's everything. It's everything. I think it's 95% of my business.
Really?
Yeah.
Just being out there.
Yeah, 95% networking, 2-3% referrals, and the other 3% are
Really?
So online.
That ratio?
I'm always out.
You think the referrals is only 2%?
Well, I'm making a big deal because I'm just saying the networking is so big,
It's so big.
It's so big, yeah. But I would say those are my 3 pillars, networking, the referrals, and then maybe some social media. Yeah, because the networking is what got me all these relationships. If I didn't go out, I would never make these relationships. And from these relationships, I would never get the referrals. And then what I do is that I make everyone add me on social media, for the most part. Because otherwise, how do you keep up with them? How do they know that I just got voted top 1.5% of America's best realtors?
I saw that. Congratulations. That was huge.
Thanks. So little things like that. How are they going to know what I'm up to? Only via email, and maybe I'll call you. Maybe we'll have lunch here and there, but people are on social media, and you never know who's on social media. They got little fake accounts, but they're always watching. Yes.
Follow Banna at Banna Fit Miami. Right, that's the Instagram where they can find you?
I deactivated that one.
You deactivated
I
Benefit?
did. I know.
That could have been another avenue. You never know where the fitness was going to go to. It was going Benefit 305. She's going to reactivate it after this.
I will. He's the one who created that name, by the way.
I know. Of course. That was my marketing for you.
Thank you so much.
But you shut it down.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think you should keep it going.
I should.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about on there. Fitness, wellness, from a woman's perspective, time management. There's a lot we can do there.
Well, that's a big thing that you're leading into. How do you feel like your fitness and maintaining yourself works with your business?
Well,
you think there's a correlation?
Definitely. And I have to work out, and I have to keep fit and focus on my health and wellness. Otherwise, I don't produce, and I'm not happy, and I'm just like a little miserable girl, woman. So I definitely think that it's important to maintain. And honestly, I feel when I get to that limit, I'm starting to feel burnt out. I take a vacation. I'm already learning so much about myself that I know that it's about that time. And living in Miami, it's like once a month. Like you need to kind of, I think, leave Miami. Like every 6 weeks or so, it's time for a little trip.
You feel it's time for a little trip because Miami can become overwhelming, or you feel it's just your hustle?
All the above. We're in traffic a lot. The traffic here is insane. Being in the car all day long stresses me out sometimes. The appointments, the meetings, a lot. So if I just kind of put in some like breaks in between, I come back refreshed and reset and ready to go again. So I learned to like not get to that burnt out point.
I love Fitbit pre-workout. Doesn't give me the jitters, gets me going for my workout, and keeps me going all the way to the end. I definitely recommend it.
Reach for bip bip.
What's been the easiest thing, like now, because now that I heard your whole trajectory and all these side businesses, which all have to do with who you are, like it just, I can see it, right? Like now I'm like, oh, I see it. So like
it relates, right?
Yeah, no, it's all birds of a feather. But I think to yourself, like, what do you really look at and say, if I had to do it all over again, would you change anything?
A couple things, actually. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I would. Just because it took me a little bit longer to get to where I am, and it would have been nice if I had some kind of, not mentorship, but if I had some kind of, like for example, I joined real estate with a fairly new firm. I think it would have been nice to have joined a $100 million top producer. And instead of what it took me 5 years to learn that whole part of the business, it would have taken me 2 years.
Mentorship, absolutely.
So I do think that if I started off not so, like from the bottom up, maybe like mid, it would have taken me a little farther faster. Still, no regrets though. Everything happens for a reason and la la la. And I made a lot of connections and networks, and it's been very nice, but I do think that it would have helped.
So get a mentorship. If you had to get somebody now, be like, go work for a top producer.
Yes.
Like if somebody saw you right now and they want to do real estate, would you want them to contact you and be like, let me be under you? Would you want to mentorship a 21-year-old?
Not really, no.
Why?
I did this several times, and I'm not in the mentorship mood right now.
Okay.
I have mentored many times in the past. I created an online course even. So before the pandemic, I created this course and I was teaching it. I went to like a couple of brokerages and I was teaching it in person. And then pandemic hits and my business partner and I made it into like an online course. We sold a couple. And then I kind of took a break on that. And then I mentored in person, and it's not easy. I think that in the future, I definitely will get into mentorship more. But at this moment, I'm all about me and my empire. Mm-hmm. And I have like 1 or 2 agents under me that I work with, but I'm not full mentorship right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So talk about the assistant drama.
Which one?
So all of them, like we were talking about, you had assistants, you were in and out of that. So talk a little bit about, I guess, having an employee, right? It's basically like an employee.
Yeah, I have a lot of stories about this.
So what are your thoughts on it? What do you think? Do you have one now?
A new one, yes. I have one now. A lot of lessons there. So many lessons in the past couple of years. Even this year, I'm still continuing to learn a lot. But one of my main lessons is to hire slow and fire fast.
Ooh, say that again.
Right. Hire slow and fire fast. Mm-hmm. I think that's been a huge thing that I've mastered now after several of them. Because number one, I like to help out, and I really am just super generous inside, like so generous. I mean, everyone around you can really say I'm like overly generous sometimes. So you want to give them a chance, you want to help them out, you want to give them the tools to succeed. Next thing you know, it's 9 months and you're spent over 40,000 on this person, and there's not much here. Then you gotta fire them. Then you have turnover. Then you gotta get a newest, and then the whole training another 3 months.
Yeah, it costs money to retrain.
It's a year of wasted time, money, energy, hard to recoup as a business owner. Like all that money could have gone to marketing. So I definitely think choosing the correct people to hire is everything.
Do you do the hiring yourself?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So the interview process is one of the biggest things?
The interview process, where the person comes from. So then I had some in-person assistants. I had one in particular. I really thought, because she had the go-getter energy in her, and we worked well together in the beginning. And then, some of my colleagues do something called a DISC personality test, where if you're like a high D, that wouldn't mesh well because you're a C, etc. So I definitely think if I would have done these personality tests in the beginning, I would have known perhaps she wants to be a Banna. She wants to be me, and that's not what I need. I already have me. I just need an assistant now. So there was, after four or 5 months, there was some clashing there. I'm like, okay, you know what? Go do what you need to do. I'm gonna go look for another assistant, So then that was another, whole thing. Then what else? I got into the virtual assistant world because it's, time efficient, and it saves you a lot of money. I mean, cost is way lower. And another training process, because they're not used to how you work. And imagine trying to teach real estate, 10 years of real estate into 3 months. It's a lot of work, so you need to be very patient, and the person needs to be a fast learner. And I'm in such a fast moving business, I don't have time to spend like 6 months training all the time, So another thing, better for them to have experience already, not get one that doesn't know anything. So
in the hiring is one of the biggest things that you've experienced?
I think hiring has been very difficult.
Do you also think that your standards, because you're really big on customer service, so I'm assuming that your standards are above. When people are good at sales, they're either good at customer service or they're good at BSing. If you're good at BSing, you don't really have a lot of open doors, right? So if you're good at customer service, your standards are really high.
Super. So funny you say that.
No, that's what it is.
Right.
You could take that to the bank.
For sure. So I had hired an old colleague of mine who I used to work with in a previous company. And, if one of my top clients, like, my number one client, I would say, they're nocturnal. They do a lot of work in the evening. So they'll text me sometimes 10, 10:30, 11, and I'm writing back 11:01 p.m.
Absolutely.
Like it's this, And so she doesn't have the same standards as I did, and she ended up even telling my client, like, listen, like, it's too late to be texting me. And I'm like, are you crazy talking to, like, just right back in the morning, just say, hey, I'll get back to you in the morning, So that's when I quickly started realizing, okay, I got to be very careful who has direct contact to my client.
Absolutely.
So, and that's someone I knew very closely, and I did not realize that part. I didn't realize that we didn't have the same standards.
But there's a reason why they were going to be your assistant.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, that's really, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's really what it is. So that's been the hardest thing, huh?
Assisting, hiring, and then payroll taxes. And unemployment kind of comes into the mix when they can't find another job. I dealt with that recently. So now I'm like, all right, 1099s across the board.
Absolutely.
Like, let me think twice about W-2. Let me think twice about all of this. So another part of the business is scaling and growing when you have these costs now. And so budgeting is a huge concern in addition to the hiring, right?
Because marketing is such a big role for you?
Yeah, very expensive. Yeah, real estate. I would say real estate, most of it is marketing, We're just marketing homes, really. But it's marketing, and then you're first a lead generator, and then second, you're a realtor. And then I'm kind of a therapist on the third side, right?
She's a therapist.
Yeah.
So your hardest lessons are those. What would you say is the most fascinating thing about working with your clients?
It's very rewarding. It's very rewarding when they're relocating from another city to Miami. And being a Miami native, I have so much love for the city. So it's so nice to be show them the city. Show them how beautiful it is to live here. Really, what other city in America would you really live in? Maybe two other cities, if that. Maybe like a vacation home, really, because everyone's still relocating here. So it's nice to provide them the lifestyle that the city, offers.
Yeah.
We also solve a lot of solutions, divorces, people that need to relocate, people that need to sell, buy, and we give them, I had this.
You
one
give them
seller,
peace of mind.
Peace of mind, and I mean, a nice check too, a nice wire. You know, it's like making the money too. We are wealth advisors at the end of the day too.
I love it. Do you have a lot of people that come to you and they like for investment firms, or is it mainly just houses that you kind of stick to?
Houses, single family, condos, multifamily, investment properties. I mean, I have a $10 million Airbnb portfolio right now to sell. So I do residential and commercial. Yeah.
Got
I
it.
sold last year like a $4 million warehouse to like a really A1 celebrity kind of. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Let's talk about that Airbnb portfolio. What
Yeah.
was that? What was that?
It's interesting. It's like 9.2. So
No, she just 9.2, Jay.
9.2.
$800,000 discount. I'll take it.
So it's really cool product. So it's two separate buildings in South Beach. One on right next to Lincoln Road, maybe like 10 steps away from Mila, the restaurant. And it's zoned as a bed and breakfast. And it's like a single family home with this huge pool, like a really gorgeous oasis. And so I just took over about a month and a half ago. So new levels, new devils, right? So the owner contacts me. I've been trying to get his business for years. I think off of Facebook, we had connected, and I knew he was a really big investor. And so finally, I think he saw some of my top producer awards, to be honest. And then he's like, "Okay, help me sell it." Okay, took it over. Last year was such a high time in the market, you know. So buying last year and trying to resell this year is not so easy. You know, the market has shifted. Interest rates have increased like exponentially. So it wasn't an easy sale. In addition, the old property management company had completely dropped the ball the last 6 months. So I had no good recent financials to provide to the new buyer. And they did a horrible job taking care of the property. So now I get this listing. The place is falling apart. There's outstanding balances. Water, you know, bills are owed. Like, there's no financials. Like, what do we do here? So now I have completely taken over, fixing it up, brought my handyman in there, went to the city, got the permits, now putting together my own financials with the projections I think the property is going to make, you know. So now we're putting together that whole package to bring to the new buyer.
So you're like a business consultant for them.
I am
Absolutely.
I am like,
That's a business consultant.
it's a lot of pressure. But who else is going to do it?
How do you manage the pressure?
I go to Faina for 10 hours a day. Yeah, last year I became a member at the Faina because I used to live on the beach, sold the house, moved to Coconut Grove. But I need the beach, I need the ocean in my life. So I became a member last year and I use it for like business and just to relax really. So what I do sometimes is I go to Faina from like noon and no, like 11 a.m. to like 6 p.m. in the beach, like all day long. And then I go to the spa. It's like a wet spa. So they have the hammam, like the steam room, all of that.
Nice.
Sauna. I do that for like 2 hours. And then I'll get like a 90-minute massage, hot stone,
A full day.
full day. So I'm there like 10 hours at Faina.
So that's one of your stress relievers other than working out.
Sure. Working out, that, I nap a lot. It's okay to take naps.
Absolutely.
Super important.
Yeah. You know, in Spain, people have like lunch and naps. Like, it's just America that believes we should work 16-hour days.
I'm over it. I think
Oh
I was
my
Italian
God.
in my past life. Like, it's okay to take a nap. If you're up at 7, it's okay to take a nap like around 2, 3 o'clock. And then
If you know what you're doing, you don't have to work from morning
To
to
night.
nightfall.
agreed.
That's what the experience is for. So you can learn how to do everything a lot more efficiently, which is how it should be done.
Right.
Because I think with people who work, they think they have to work so hard and have to do so much and put in so much time, but I don't believe that you need to do that. And I think you're a good definition, you're a good example of that. I think you've been able to master what you do, and now you do it pretty effortlessly.
Thank you. Yeah, it took a long time to get here working smarter, right? Working smarter and having the systems in place. And nowadays, I feel like real estate's a lot easier now than it was back in the day. I think there's way more tools, resources like AI. We never had AI. It takes us 2 weeks to put together a newsletter. Now it takes us 5 minutes to send out an e-newsletter. So I do think it's a lot
Well, and
easier.
CRMs.
CRMs,
Are you
forget
kidding
about
me?
it. Right? It does like half the job for you now.
Absolutely.
Back in the day, we had to use Excel because we couldn't afford Follow a Boss. Now I'm obsessed with Follow a Boss. Adding users, like you guys do this all. So I definitely think it took a while to get here, but it's been exciting.
What do you see for your future?
I see a lot. I do love Sotheby's. I do love the global brands. I do love the network. I say Sotheby's, everyone perks up. It really is a nice advantage to have that. Especially like the older generation, because they know Sotheby's because of the auctions. And,
right.
If you look at the numbers are there, like top most expensive homes in the nation, most of them are sold by Sotheby's.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that recognition under my name, So I'm thinking about getting my CAM license, my management license.
What's that?
Community Association Management. I think it's a CAM license to like manage big buildings and associations, just to have it.
Absolutely.
You never know, So what else? The marketing business is on fire. So now we have 300,000 followers on the Miami Guide.
That's amazing.
Our Basel, Formula One, Marlins Heat, Lucid Motors, Brunello Prosecco. We have big brands that partner with us. So we're continuing to grow that company too. So it's exciting times ahead.
Maybe we can do something with Bip.
I would love to do something with
Yeah, we should definitely do something with Bip.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how important having that, being under the umbrella of that company is to you, but I can definitely tell you that her reputation speaks for itself. And if anybody needs any help with real estate, buying, selling, renting, just talk to Banna Fakhoury right here. You can send her a DM. She'll respond. She will make sure that you're good to go. I can talk about a personal experience that I recently just had.
You should.
I made the mistake going to the wrong place instead of going to my go-to, which is always Benefit, because I was trying to help somebody out. And Benefit fixed the situation in literally 2 weeks. Everything was rectified and done and handled. Boom, boom. Like everything is always handled and done quickly. So if you need to sell, you need to buy, you need to rent, you need to move quickly, you need to move efficiently. Don't even worry about it. If you see her, she's on the yacht, she's still going to respond. So don't worry. She does not miss vacation or anything. Banna's on point.
I love everything you've said. I hope you have an amazing. I want to interview you again in like 2 years.
Let's do it.
Because I think that you're on to like bigger and better. Because I think it's really hard to find women in Miami that are really going places. I think it's really hard to find women that are really go-getters and that really are getting their paper and making themselves look good at it. Yeah. That's
right.
That's
Nicole
the hardest.
is still traumatized because she went on a yacht like 2 weeks ago with like 40 models and she asked all of them what they did for a living and nobody had a job.
Oh my God.
So she was left traumatized.
I don't blame you. And like, not even the whole traumatized thing. You try to have a conversation with them. It's very difficult. They're like so obsessed with Instagram, TikTok. That's their whole life. That's their whole personality. It's like really weird what I'm seeing. Like,
and
right now.
do you see that are they surviving? Do they have money when they
No, they have guys that pay everything.
Do they really have guys that pay?
Yes.
I think so, right? I do think so. And I think a lot of them, OnlyFans, Miami is the number one.
Not all guys look and think like you. They don't have that advantage. So they got to drop money.
But I don't think they're spending money to give you a $4,000 a month rent.
They're just not telling you, Jay. They're just
call.
not telling you.
I don't think it's out there like that.
Jay,
yes,
it is.
It's out there like that?
It's out there like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
And like OnlyFans.
So then that's why they're obsessed with, because that's their business then. If the arms of their business is TikTok and Instagram and they're getting that kind of money, then they should be focused on that.
No, and I'm going to tell you the why. Banna in 10 years will have built a conglomerate of all her little tentacles that she's put out, because that's what she's hustled to do. I'm going to do this avenue. I'm going to do this. It's all under the same umbrella. So she's building an empire, right? In everything you do, you build an empire. It might take you 20, 30, 40 years. What happens when these girls get old? What happens when sugar daddy dies? What happens when he gets somebody else pregnant? He likes them a little bit more. What then? What you doing? Who's paying that car? Who's paying that? These women are giving bad advice. No, I'm not going for it. They're giving bad advice.
And Banna's going to be a real estate boss.
Yes.
I love it.
A boss and a baddie.
Absolutely. You are gorgeous. Thank you so much.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
This was awesome.